My name is Carlos. I'm a facilitator in our community outreach program. I want to welcome everybody to Free Minds on the Same Page Right Night, a mutual exchange of hope and healing between incarcerated poets in the community. Our featured poet ambassadors tonight are Free Minds member Antoine and Deontae, in conversation with my co-host Julia, Free Minds deputy director. I want to extend a warm welcome to our returning night writers and to any new volunteers that are here for the first time tonight. We also have Free Minds members who are home in the community joining us. Um, Please post in the chat where you're joining us from, and if this is your first right night, or if you have attended a Free Minds event in the past. Also, before you leave a comment, be sure to click everyone in the box. That way, we all get to see it, and we all get to enjoy your comments. Our incarcerated poets would be thrilled to know how many community members are supporting them and what cities and state and countries are here for them tonight. Here's how it's going to go tonight. We will have a conversation with Antoine Deontae, and we'll have a chance to answer any of your questions until about 7:25 Eastern Time. Please put any questions you have in the chat or the Q&A button below at any time. We will share some quick tips on how to use the platform Miro to give the poetry feedback, and then we all be joining on the same page. Now I will turn it over to you, Julia, who will introduce to us our poet ambassadors tonight.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I'm so excited to be here with you. And I'm thrilled to introduce our amazing speakers for tonight, Deontae and Antoine. So Deontae is a Free Minds Poet Ambassador and has been a member since he joined the Prison Book Club in 2019. He was incarcerated for 8 years and was released to a halfway house in October. Welcome home, Deontae. He's an avid reader and prolific poet, having sent Free Minds his poetry many times while incarcerated. He also obtained his associate's degree in business management and worked as a production clerk during his incarceration. Deontae is currently working as a quality assurance technician, and he enjoys reading books and comics in his free time, as well as helping others and learning about home improvement. Deontae aspires to work with those who have dealt with mental health struggles as a life coach or in a therapeutic setting. We're so glad to have you with us, Deontae. We also have Antoine Coleman joining us. He first joined the Free Minds family in 2021, and he is now the current Congressman John Lewis Fellow at Free Minds. He was sentenced to 66 years to life at the age of 21. Antoine earned his GED while incarcerated, despite leaving school in the 7th grade. He went on to become a GED tutor in the prison education department, and he also worked as a suicide companion with the psych department in prison and as a wellness coach. After serving 22 years, Antoine was released under the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act in February of last year. After his release, he worked as assistant curator and resident artist at Honfleur Art Gallery, which I hope I said correctly, in the historic Anacostia Arts District here in DC, before becoming, of course, the current Congressman John Lewis Fellow here with Free Minds. He's the author of 2 novels and many poems. Antoine loves creative writing, spending time with his family, and dedicating himself to helping others. Welcome, Antoine and Deontae. We're so excited to have this conversation with you all tonight. And now I'll turn it over to my co-host, Carlos, who's going to get us started with tonight's conversation.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you, Antoine Deontae, for being here tonight. We would like to start out with you, Antoine, if by reading a poem, if you could read that for us first.
This one is entitled Wealth. Diamonds from Maya Angelou, pearls from Robert Frost, rubies from Langston Hughes, emeralds from Ralph Emerson. With those gems or jewels, made my grandson a necklace. Told him, you want to be wealthy? You have to protect this. The most valuable possessions the kings kept to themselves. It was the lesson to the peasants that true wealth is with self. In their hearts was the desire, in their mind were the keys to open doors they felt were locked until they studied Ali. Offer a penny for his thoughts, he might give them for free. If it's interest that you brought, it's interest you will collect. What you give, you'll surely get. That's including respect. The same way you fill your piggy bank and watch it slowly grow, fill your mind up with knowledge until it too overflows. Read you some Amanda Byrne. Robert Kiyosaki is nice. He had a rich dad and a poor dad. Why not take his advice? If you're going to follow a rapper, follow examples of Jay-Z, Ice Cube, or Nas, be inspired by Nipsey. Don't bet so much on blind loyalty. Above all, know your worth. Stocks and bonds, stock your bookshelf. Bond with your family first. Invest heavy in patience. It's the best for long term. Security in the future. What's a better return? Go all in on discipline. Cut your losses with pride. Integrity you never spend, and push your emotions aside. One man had it all, but his honor he sold. One man had nothing, but his words good as gold. The price of anger is too high, so don't be so quick to buy. Loan your time to good causes. Let people's smiles be your profits. Even if money's looking funny, you're still rich, so why worry? Let them dig through dirt looking for treasure while you find yours in granddad's library.
Wow. And just to emphasize, this is a poem that written by yourself. Amazing poem, amazing work, a lot of information, a lot of messages and hidden jewels, like to make a necklace myself. You hear me? But thank you for. Let me ask you something before this other question. What was going through your mind when you wrote this powerful poem right here? What was happening in your life when you wrote this poem?
I think like at this time, just having like conversations while I was on the outside with people on the outside, and it was like so much, energy and attention into material things. And like for me, I'd learned over time, that true value is like with the things like they can't take from you, like your integrity, like your word, and I think, that was just better things to invest in because that's the only thing that, I still have when everything was over with. And so like if it was something that considering that's what I wanted to impart on my grandson, this is what true wealth is. It's not material things, it's things, like in the poem.
And you articulate yourself so well in this poem, right? Like I said, a lot of jewels, a lot of messages. What? Let me ask you, what role has writing played in your life?
Man, to say writing, um, writing is my life. Like it's like there's no real words that like really, can explain like how vital writing has been to my life. Just be able to express yourself, especially like, in times where you have to get it out of your system. And that was like one of the most positive ways, to really just translate a lot of your emotion, a lot of your feelings into not just putting it on paper, but to do it in a creative way. And, and so just the process of it was therapeutic, healing, learning, teaching, everything all rolled up into one.
And like I said, it's a powerful poem. Another question in relation to your writing: how has writing helped you to get to where you are right now today?
I think it's just the focus, man, like, just the discipline that it takes, and I think what inspires me the most, man, is like when you can actually share some of your deepest thoughts, man, you can be like your most vulnerable and people don't laugh at you, they appreciate you because so many other people are vulnerable. And so like your voice actually does, your writing, your words, because some people it's hard for them to even put their feelings onto paper. And so I take it like it's really like a gift to have that outlet. And so like I can use my outlet to help you, so to speak.
And one last question: like, um how has Free Minds helped you to like either share your writing or improve your writing?
Oh man, like um well, from the time my very first writing or anything was entitled Free Minds. I mean, my first poem, once I connected with Free Minds. And I think what they did was they facilitate a space that not only makes it comfortable enough for you to share your writing. But it's almost like you walking down the street, man, and you got a pocket full of poems and you don't know who to talk to and nobody want to listen. And you stumble across this, a little bar, you know what I'm saying? You like literally like all the poets in here. And you ain't know it exists. So it's that type of feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like you finally found a room you supposed to be in.
Like a blessing, right?
Yes, it is. It truly is.
And you also picked another poem for us to read that by one of our members, not by yourself. Can you read that for us?
Say, Try Again by Joshua Y. Growing up, I was always told that if you fall, to get up and try again. The pain from that fall may not be physical pain, but maybe pain that's within. Time and time again, I have failed and gave up, but starting today, enough is enough. Life is short and time stops for no one. But remember, if you fail, to get up and try again. And this time you try, it may be fun.
Thank you for reading that. Let me ask you, what sticks out to you about this poem, or what? How do you connect to this poem?
The biggest thing, and I think the most powerful thing, like for anyone, and he is, regardless of your situation, is how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? He said, that fall, he could have processed it as pain, but he said, man, I'm gonna process it as a lesson. And matter of fact, I'm gonna accept it as it being fun. This part of it. I kind of enjoy trying and failing and getting up again. And so like his attitude, I think, was the biggest thing. And I think that's the most important in life, period. Your
I like
attitude.
that.
So
Yeah, I like that, and I like how you emphasize that try again. Like it doesn't have to be a failure. Like you getting up to try again is succeeding. To me, at least that's how I look at it. Because you never gave up.
It reminds me of them football players you see hit hard as I don't know what, he get up smiling.
You having fun.
Yeah, he having fun, man. So yeah.
And listen, thank you, Antoine, man. I'm gonna pass it over to Julia now, but I want to thank you, and you definitely belong in a room full of poets. You hear me? Thank you,
Thank you,
Antoine.
bro.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Antoine, for those readings. We had a great conversation earlier this week we were talking about this poem, and I love that idea of like just learning through failure or through the process of trying too. And Deontae, you are such a big learner, a big reader, a big writer. So I'm excited to chat with you about all these things tonight, but I know you also have a poem of your own that you're going to share with us first to get us started, right?
Sophia picked it for me.
Yes.
This one is called Living in the Light by Deontae Sims. Those of us who live in the light in the dark world make a conscious decision to shine amongst those existing in the dark. Hate is something we learn from those who live in the dark. Those of us who don't know what it means to live in the light come out at night believing the sun has gone down and the light has disappeared. Never took the time to realize that light is infinite. The sun, our natural light, doesn't go down when you believe it to be dark. The sun's light is reflected off the moon. So in essence, light or good energy is natural to us, just like the sun's reflection shining off the moon when we perceive it to be dark. We, those of us who strive for righteousness, freedom, justice, and equality, are the many particles that make up the light. The light gives light. Hate is a concept of a dark mind. Remember that God said, let there be light. Mankind created the dark and the hate and the prejudice, poverty, and unnatural death, mentally and physically. The great disparity between light and dark. Make sure that you're living in the light.
Thank you. Those are such powerful words. And I find this such an interesting poem because I love the way you incorporate these aspects of the natural world, the sun, into this conversation about, humanity, it seems like. I'm curious if you want to share a little bit about like maybe what inspired you to write this poem, or what does the sun's light mean to you in this context?
They had a saying when I was growing up, like, I don't call you son because you're my son, but because you shine like one. And that's something that always stuck out to me. So when I was writing that poem, I was in a dark place, and I see a lot of people with potential around me, but they don't want to shine. And it's like the darkness has a grip on your mind. So you got to do your best to shine as much as possible and find those good things in the world that would inspire you to be your best, so that you can reflect your rays on others.
I love
Because it
that.
takes light to make things grow, and you can't grow fruit in the dark. Like, you can't bear fruit in the dark. You need the sun's natural light to bear fruit, and without the sun, none of us would exist. So the sun is the major focal point in that poem.
Mhm. And we, as people, like you said, we can't thrive in the dark. We need resources, need light, need energy. Um, One of the things I know that really that we've talked about a lot, when you were in a dark place of incarceration, was the impact of books and like education. So I'm curious if you could share a little bit about that with the audience tonight. Like, what was the impact like of reading, of education for you during your incarceration?
So it wouldn't be so much education for me; it would be re-education for me.
Mhm.
It's recorrecting the way I used to think, trying to get into tune with different ways of living, viewing the world from a different perspective. Because you don't have to be what the world wants you to be. In prison, I ain't have to fit in with nobody else. I could just be myself, and I was respected for being that. Um, people respect people when you can teach them something, not being that negative person. So the more knowledge that I gained, the more I was able to impart wisdom and understanding to others.
Mhm.
And through that, it gave me more determination to learn more so that I could help others. So, like, I don't know if you guys know, the Free Minds Connect is like pictures of girls. Like, we got the new Free Minds Connect. So everybody wants to get involved, because when you find there's other people that want to read, there's other people that want to learn, but there's not so many people who it's not popular. But when you find that group of people and you can fit in, then you can create a little society amongst the society.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And you were pursuing your associate's degree while you were incarcerated, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about how getting books from Free Minds contributed to your success there. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that as well. Like, what was it like to get books in the mail, especially during like COVID times and the periods of a lot of lockdowns that you were experiencing?
So Free Minds books were like ammunition for my papers and my essays. Like, every book was another bullet that I could put on paper, to show a different point of view, because you're given a topic to write on in college, and we all taught one way, and we're only given a certain type of education. But through Free Minds, I was given alternative ways to look at the world through different authors. So I was able to write and give out what I learned from to my professors, and they used to fact check me, like, where did you get that from? What book did that come from? I was like, well, Free Minds sent me this book. So he would go home. He was like, he'd be forced to give me an A. He wanted to give me an E. Like, that's not true. And then he'd go home and do the research. It's like, dang, this guy came with some information that I've never even heard of. So it made me look at the whole education system. It's like you're being put in the box, and then you have Here Comes Free Minds showing you that no, you can look at things this way. We can, and you giving me art. They were giving me authors. You guys were giving me authors that I never even heard of. The new Jim Crow was awesome for me. Um, the book by Howard Zinn was something else too. I wrote
The
a history
people's
paper
history,
on that.
yeah, the people's history of
Yeah,
the United States. And I
yeah. So,
remember you were talking about the warmth of other suns, right, the other day
oh,
too.
the Great Migration. So a lot of people thought that by coming north after the Civil War, they were going to be welcome and it was going to be different. But when they came, they ended up in the ghetto, and they were still fighting for jobs. Now it's kind of like what was going on with back during the gold rush when the Chinese were in San Francisco. But now you got people coming from the South, coming to New York and Chicago and Detroit, and they can caught up in these places and these unions, and they're not trying to let them into jobs and stuff. So, and they're being offered to pay a lower wage. So it's like segregation all over again. And
I think you probably have a lot of more book recommendations. We could talk about that for a long time, but I'm curious too. I know you're a father. Like, how are you like passing along this love of reading to your son?
I'm losing the book race now.
Tell us about
My,
tell us about the book race.
my son has read over 6 or 7 books already, and I've only read one. His mom's have read 3. I don't think his brother and his sister have read any yet, but I'll have to check the chart tonight. But at least I'm in the race, and we got an awesome library at the house. So, and I've been contributing. So all the books that you guys sent me over the years, I sent them home.
Mhm.
You know,
So you guys are
that's how,
competing, right, to read as many books as you can each month. Is that right?
yeah. So right now, due to my situation, I haven't been as avid as a reader as I would like to be. So I'm just getting in like newspapers and stuff
Mhm.
online. But I just finished one book, so I'm looking forward to reading another one that I just got.
Deontae is joining us from a halfway house in Baltimore, so doesn't quite have as probably as wide an access to literature as you might hope, right? But that'll all change soon, and soon you'll be coming down to the Free Minds office and taking advantage of our library we keep on our shelves too. And I know you have another poem that you're going to share with us, and this one is kind of a special story. Before we read the poem, do you want to tell the folks about sort of the background of this poem? This is a piece by another Free Minds member who's still incarcerated. His name is Harry. And I asked Deontae to read this poem, or asked him, take a look, see what you think of it, without knowing this backstory at all. So it was a bit of Free Minds magic. And said, "Oh, I know that poem. I know Harry." You want to tell us about this?
So Harry is one of the Free Minds members that he became a member through me. He's always showed me writing and stuff, and we worked together. And I used to be sitting at my desk writing or doing some homework on my computer. And he'd be like, "Man, what's up with this?" Like I said, the connect. So he'd be like, "I'm trying to become a member." So I was like, "Okay." So we wrote him a letter to you guys, and he's doing the IRA. So he's trying to come
Yes,
home. He's
that's
been incarcerated. He's
yeah,
been
that's what you
incarcerated.
mentioned earlier, the
17
Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act, or IRA.
Yeah. So you guys wrote him back. So he was like, "Bro, I need you to help me with this poem." I was like, "What you mean?" Like he was like, "I need to write a poem." He's like, I'm trying to go home." So I was like, "Well, Vito, what would you do if you was free?" So we sat down. He sat down beside me, and I grabbed a pen and pad, and I just started asking him questions, and we just started putting it on the paper. Like what did you miss the most? What is most important to you right now? What would you do different with your life if you granted your freedom? Like I felt like in order for it to be real for him, he had to really dig deep inside to see like what he would do with his life. You know, especially knowing his story too. I know his story, so it it really touched home. So I didn't mind helping him at all. He's a good guy.
So it turns out you've been like a poetry facilitator too, basically,
Yeah,
on
something
top of
like a
everything else
ghostwriter.
on your resume. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You want to share it with us now? If I Were Free by Harry.
If I Were Free by Harry W. If I were free, I would cherish every breath I breathe. If I were free, I would cherish every hug and every kiss for every day that I missed. If I were free, I would show the world my presence is love, for I am blessed from above. If I were free, I would prove people can change. We shouldn't be punished forever for things that we did at a young age. If I were free, I would cherish every moment outside of this cage. If I were free.
Thank you for reading that. Um, before we before I turn it over to Carlos, want to see, like, and obviously you have read the poem before, you worked with Harry. What does it make you think of to see the poem now that you're free?
it made me feel like, being an intricate part of that poem, like that's what I'm doing. So like while I was asking him those same questions, like those were the things that that were on my mind, you know, if I was free. Like what would you do differently with your life if you were granted that opportunity? Because it's hard for you to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, not knowing that they may never go home. Knowing that I'm gonna leave, but I have to leave you here. But we're trying to make a connection with each other and bring something from in here, from our heart, give it to the world. So, what do you really miss? What is it that you want to give to the world?
And I think that's so
That was
beautiful
the
to
hard
think.
one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hearing you say that now too, and I'm thinking about how Harry's not able to be with us yet out here, but his words are here, and his message is here with us, which I think is one of the really powerful things about poetry and about Write Night. And hopefully he'll be joining us at one of our upcoming Write Nights in not too long.
I
Now,
hope so
Carlos,
too.
I know you got a question for everyone too. So I'll turn it over back to you, Carlos.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you. You both, Deontae and Antoine. Great poetry, great reading. But here's a question to all of us. Let me start with you, Antoine. Right. How important is it to receive mail while in prison?
Man, I think, be honest, man, because you say mail, all kind of mail could come in, right?
Yes.
So it depends on what mail. Now you talking about this type of mail is man, it's like really it really puts, it's like life support, man, for real. It's like somebody breathed another breath of air into you, and it really, for a lot of us who wrote that first poem to Free Minds, a lot of us was in like your lowest point. You might have been really going through something. And what make it easier for them to express themselves, you're expressing it to someone you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of brothers actually, you participate because it's like, man, I can get these feelings out without ridicule or without judgment. And you don't really expect a comment back or remark or whatever. You happy to share it in somebody's, but when you actually do get it back, man, and you inspired someone on the outside that you don't even know, you can tell by their language they probably ain't from where you from. So that's a surprise. Like, wow, how they even feel what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm literally like in a box across the country. You know what I'm saying? No light at the end of the tunnel. And I just made somebody's day by expressing myself. And so like you make you want to get up the next day and try something else, So yeah.
I like that. I like that. And I can see that too. Deontae, what about you? How important is it to receive mail while inside?
I mean, we spent a lot of time in that box, and just receiving letters, like Antoine said, there's different types of mail. You don't want to get that Dear John letter, but like, but just getting like a letter from somebody that reached out to you, just thinking about you, that doesn't even know you, telling you about themselves, and asking you questions about your life. And you may have been sitting in that cell for 2 weeks, only coming out for a 5-minute shower, and that letter rejuvenated you. That book gave you something to do because there was nothing else to do, because they got the TVs off, the radios off. You done read every book in yourself. So a lot of people would never realize how important Free Minds is, or even a strong family foundation, because books literally help you keep your sanity inside of that city. I don't know if a lot of people know about the BOP, but the BOP does frequent lockdowns for no reason. Two people can have an altercation and they'll lock down the whole yard, and you might not talk to your family for another month. There have been times I haven't talked to my family for over 45 days. But I had books coming and I had letters coming, especially letters from free minds that gave me more motivation to keep going. The letters from you guys to keep continuing in school and during COVID. That meant a lot to me. You know, to have people that you've never met, never had any physical interaction with, never spoken to over the phone, encouraging you. So that meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
it means a lot to all the
No, go
other
ahead.
people.
Sorry.
And I know it means a lot to all the other guys that received that over the years.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it definitely like it's a beautiful thing to be connected with another human being at the level of a human being. Like no, like you said, no judgments, no nothing. It's just understanding like, hey, we're here for you kind of thing, right? We're about to go into poetry feedback, all of us in a minute. So let me ask this last one of the last questions to both of you again, Antoine. You first. What tips or advice do you have for anybody who's here tonight for the first time as they give feedback on the poems?
I'll just say, be honest. You know, and mindful that man, poetry is just expression. It's not really like a right way, to look at it objectively. And but for the most part, I say honesty, because we done heard it all and seen it all in every language.
Mhm.
And with so much distance and space between us, we gonna feel your words. We got to feel what you're saying. And as long as it's genuine, we gonna appreciate it. That's the best thing.
Thank you. What about you, Antoine? I'm sorry, Deontae, what tips or advice do you have for anybody who's here for the first time tonight?
I would just ask for them, you know, to have heard these poems with a free mind, with an open mind.
Mhm.
They know that this is the work of people trying to change, who trying to express themselves. Because it takes, when you pick up that pen and write, you're gonna start writing from two places, from here and here. So, when a person writes down their words or how they feel, their emotions, that's what that is on that paper. So I guess that could be their ultimate truth, if that makes sense.
It
Of
definitely makes
expression.
sense. Yeah, thank you, Deontay, for sharing that right there. That's definitely a big advice. Let me turn it over back to you, Julie.
Sure. So we do have a couple questions from the audience, and I want to make sure we have time for folks to read the poetry too. So I apologize in advance if we don't get to your question, but here's a question for any of you guys. What has your experience been writing now that you're home compared to when you were incarcerated? How has this new experience and any new feelings been reflected in your writing? I don't know, Antoine, you want to take that?
I'm gonna kick it to Deontae. I think you want to go first?
I wrote half a poem since I've been, and like I was asking you guys, I just experienced so much anxiety that I haven't really had the quiet time for my mind to really sit down and express myself. But by the next time we do this again, I'd like to have something new for you guys. But the world just been coming at me so fast, so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
balance out.
But I didn't, you showed us earlier this week. You got that new notebook, right? So you're getting ready.
Yes, yes, I got it. It's
Looking forward
hardback too.
to some new work.
I
Yeah,
say like
so
from.
I'm working
Oh
on
no,
some
I'm
new
sorry.
stuff.
Go ahead.
I'm working on some new stuff. Go ahead.
Um, I'm working on one too. It's more complex because, like you say, like just like everything else, so much stuff coming to you. I think it's just it matters, like just focusing on a particular thing and just locking into it. But with everything coming so fast, um, I wrote one since I've been out, and I think you write better now. And of course, you see more, your eyes open more. You just brought back to life. You finally see some colors. About how many colors in there, man? About 3: brown, orange. So I'm still taking it in so I could put it back out. Yeah.
I feel like you could write, I mean, you could write a whole poem just about that idea of going
The
from a
color.
world of two or three colors, you know.
I'm telling you, that's real, man.
Mhm.
Real, that's
I
real.
just found out about kaleidoscope roses. I'm trying to figure out how they grow that. The
How they-
kaleidoscope rose.
You'll have to teach us.
Yeah, there's so many colors in them. The other day was National Flower Day, and I was reading something about kaleidoscope roses, how they grow. Wow.
Maybe we'll see that in a poem one of these days.
That would be
Yeah,
great.
hint, hint,
Yeah.
hint, hint.
Yeah. All right, I got one more question for you guys. While you were inside, how many people did you meet who were like excited about education? And if not, were you able to get people into it? And I want to add to that, like, um, what kind of barriers, like, what do you think might prevent someone from feeling like excited about education or motivated to pursue it on the inside specifically?
I think just, you know, people deal with deeper issues than just the education or lack of it. And so like, just helping, I think, just approach or make yourself approachable, you know what I'm saying, to put yourself in position to help people, because I had to the barriers, I had barriers just attempting to be a tutor in prison. And then I was a tutor in a Southern prison. And so, is what they say it is, and so the staff was really tuned to the inmates on manual labor and not education. The education, the computer class actually had was like a storage room in these times when computers is the world. And so like education was like really important. So it was like guys want to learn and they deal with so many other issues. So I grew because I had to figure out ways how to reach a lot of these brothers that really wanted to learn, but education like really motivated people. And for me to pursue mine with I had a life sentence. And so I had cellmates who had 3 months and 6 months, and it's like I was to push them, and you didn't have no excuse. I got a life sentence and I have mine, and I'm motivating you. And I still talk to one of my cellmates. He was from Arkansas, and he still calls me, man, and thanks me because he had 3 months left to go home, and I pushed him to get it. And he said that was like the biggest difference because now he can really tell his kids to go to school because he finished himself. And so yeah, it's big.
I mean, you mentioned having a life sentence, and something I've heard from folks a lot, and I wonder if you've seen this too, any of you guys on the call, that in some facilities, particularly like if you have a life sentence or a very long sentence, that you may just be put on a wait list sort of endlessly for like a GED class or a college class or another educational program because they're prioritizing people
And
with a
that's
3-month sentence or 3 months left on their sentence or things like that.
it's
Absolutely.
actually, yeah. It made me think about a personal experience. My fault, Deontae. Think about a personal experience like that's true. Go ahead, Deontae.
Oh no, no, I was just saying absolutely to her question. But go ahead, finish expressing yourself.
Yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add, Antoine
Oh,
or Deontae? Either of you on that note.
were you done, Antoine?
Nah, go ahead, bro.
Oh, okay. No, I seen that a lot. Especially when it comes to different programs that we need. So they'll give you a list of things that you need to come home that you're required to get. I know you might experience that, right? And these institutions may only be given, especially when they started doing the First Step Act, they may start with the people that are closer to going home. So the guys with the longer sentences are usually the guys that are programming them, and they've been doing it for years. And they've been in, may have came in at a younger age like themselves, and they learn how to navigate the jungle of prison and found out like, okay, I need to get this because I need to learn how to read. I need to get in these law books. I need to get in this law library so I can find out what the file for my appeal so I can get the opportunity to come home and see my family. So once they started doing that, they spending more time in the library. So once they spend more time in the library, then they want to take more classes. But they don't offer those classes to guys with life sentences all the time. They'll be put on the back burner. And it'll be somebody who don't even want to be in the class that'll get the opportunity to mess up or take somebody else's place that really wants to be there. That was something that I saw all the time and I never liked it. Like I got buddies right now trying to come home on the hour and they need certain classes and they're leaving good jobs because the institution that they're in that offers them the opportunity to take care of themselves doesn't have that class, but some other institution to have it, and then they get to that institution, they're on the waiting list, and now they can't find a job. So, you know, those are some of the things that bother me about that.
Mm-hmm. I know I feel like we could talk for a long time about the inequitable access to education, I guess I'll say, and the great need for more educational programming and access on the inside. But I do want to make sure all of our incarcerated poets get their feedback. So I want to make sure we give folks time to read their poems. So Carlos is going to run through some quick tips and tricks for using the digital whiteboard that we use for poetry feedback. But before we get into that, I just wanted to let people know about a couple other ways that they can support our work or get involved. First, there's a coalition that we're part of called Building Community, Not Prisons, that's currently working to prevent Congress from funding another federal prison that would open in Letcher County, Kentucky. And we know that this would deeply impact DC residents in the DC community, as folks from DC would be incarcerated there, very far from home. If you are interested in joining the movement to stop the prison in Letcher County from being built, our team is going to put a link in the chat to the Building Community, Not Prisons Coalition, and you can check out the ways to get involved on their website. And if you want to support our work here at Free Minds, of course, you can donate at freemindsbookclub.org, and we'll put that link in the chat as well. And every dollar makes a difference. You know, it can cover the cost of the stamp and an envelope to send one of these poems with comments back to the incarcerated poet. And really can go a long way to help us welcome more incarcerated and formerly incarcerated folks into the Free Minds family. So you can head to those links in the chat for more information. And just really thank you all for joining us, and thank you so much for your support. And thank you, Deontae and Antoine. And I'm going to turn it over to Carlos, who's going to teach us how to use Miro for anyone who is new to Right Night.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you, Juliet. Thank you, Antoine and Deontae. And right now, you in a couple of minutes, you'll see the link in the chat for Miro. But it's just 5 things that you need to do. Need to remember. It's easy. Number 1 is the arrow. Okay. Number 1 is the arrow. And then if you click on the arrow, it just opens up and that you start writing, right? The second is remember, you could enlarge the poem with the zoom in at the bottom right, plus or minus. You could go in and out and wait. If you see it a little blurred, just wait for a minute. If you zoom in a little more or out, it'll clear up. And then back to the left, you can see the T for text. You click on that and then go over to the poem that you want to comment on, and just click it, and then you'll see text here, and then just start clicking. We usually start by just addressing the poets by their first name. That's usually how we one-on-one friendly kind of thing. And then you can scroll to the right for more poems. Just click and drag, and there are more poems there. Let me see. And finally, like I said, address them by their names, and you also end by using a first name. It doesn't have to be yours, but just to, like I said, keep it friendly. There are 3 Miro boards on there, and you can see on this page that all 3 links are on there, right? So check them all out, and you will find many poems there on each one of them. The first page also has sorry. You also see that Miro works best on a computer or a tablet. But if you're using your phone, we recommend you using the Google document with the poems that you see also provided for you right there. And it'll just be a little bit easier. The link is right there too on that first page. If you have any questions or need support, you call our staff that will be available until about 8:30 p.m. tonight, and that number will also be in the chat. With that, I want to say thank you all for coming. Please click the chat. Please read all the poems. Please enjoy all the poems. And we hope that we see you on our next Right Night. So please enjoy the poems. We will be closing it soon in a minute. So please make sure that you click on the chat if you haven't done so already. And again, we thank you for being here tonight. Everybody have a great evening.